Good afternoon, everyone. And what an honor it is to be here. I know that I'm the last guy here. I'm between you guys and the door. But I can promise you this: if you give me your attention and open mind, in the next 30 minutes or so, you will see life differently. You will see this business differently. And perhaps a tough day at work is no longer a tough day anymore. I'm here today to share a story about a 12-year-old boy I once known, who escaped his country to come to America. Through his trials and error, all alone, no mom and dad, no brothers and sisters, no aunt or uncle, and finally realized his dream. And 26 years later, that young boy is now grown up and standing in front of you guys. And I appreciate for letting me. I was born in Vietnam in 1974. When I was 4 days old, my father passed away. He actually was classified as an MIA during the Vietnam War. I was raised by a single mother and a sister. For the first 12 years of my life, it was tough, but we were happy. My mother there by me. We had food on the table. Have a house. Not really a house, it's more like a hut. Let me describe it a little bit. I'm sure a country will not insure it. maybe Kurt will make an exception. The roof is made out of straws. The wall is made out of wood, but it's not as far away like a lattice. So when it's raining outside, it's also raining inside. When it's windy outside, it's also windy inside. No electricity, no running water, no plumbing. Bathroom is in the backyard. It's just a hole. When it's filled up, dig another one. That's my first 12 years of my life. But we had a dream that one day our family would come to America. How, we don't know, but that's our dream. Our family made several attempts to escape. During the late 80s, middle to late 80s, there's a booming business in Vietnam of escaping. We tried several times, and every time we went, we would get caught. With a single mother, with 2 children, she can only sustain so much. Because every time we get caught, the government would take the house. So for the 3rd time, there's going to be only one of us to go. And the night of October of 1987, when the crew leader came to the house, it's time to go. And it was supposed to be for my sister to go. She was 5 years older than me. She decided not. She's older, she's wiser. She knows what's going to happen. Mother looked at me and says, "You want to go? Have you ever wanted something so bad? Dream of something so bad that it doesn't matter?" At 12 years old, eager, young, 12 years old, think it was a game. Thought it was a game. Unrealizing that it is a one-way ticket. Unrealizing that my young adult life, I have to make decisions on my own. Mother will not be there through all the struggles. So I went. So I followed a crew leader, ran through rice paddies, mud, water. Seems like hours. Every time he told us to lie down, perhaps he saw something. So we would, group of about 10 people, lie flat down in mud, water. We got onto a little canoe, paddle ourselves through this water channel, and by the morning come, we get onto this bigger fishing boat. As you look out, there's a few other canoes of people on there, totaling up 112 people. And together, we go. Where, I don't know. We went. Second night into the trip, the boat ran out of oil. So we were just floating. I was so sick. Wave washing over the boat. I was holding onto a rope that's on outside the boat with my arms and legs together, hoping that the wave would not wash me over. Inside the cabin, there's women, young children. On top, men, and kids like myself. Just holding on and starting to question. It's not fun anymore. It's not a game. On the fourth night, there was a big ship out in the horizon. And the people that are the planner are doing this, they was able to signal this ship in. And the ship came and picked us up. The ship was heading to Singapore. As they lowered down the ladder, people are starting to climb up. I knew that I have to do this. But at that point, I was so sick, seasick, hungry, tired, had very little water and food to eat for the last 4 days. Physically, I couldn't do it. Mentally, I knew I had to get up. If I don't, I might get left behind. But I couldn't do it. Thanks God, someone picked me up and carried me onto the ship and headed to Singapore. Middle of the late 80s there also, there's refugee camps all over the world. And at these refugee camps, there are non-profit organizations that would accept kids and family like myself. And within the refugee camp, there's also sponsorship and so forth. So I was there in Singapore for 3.5 months. Mother knew something as well. She also gave me all the military documents that my father had, because he fought with the Americans. She put it in plastic, taped it against my body, and I gave all that to the American embassy. So they was able to process me and able to ask me where I wanted to go. I could choose anywhere in the world, but of course, I'm following my dream, America. That's where I wanted to go. 3.5 months later, I found myself in Peoria, Illinois. If you don't know where Peoria, Illinois is, it's central Illinois, close to Bloomington. First time I saw snow. First time I saw people any other than me. It was different. I got sponsored by Catholic Social Services, and I stayed in Peoria at an orphanage place. There, the purpose of staying there is for them to teach me the American culture, the English, while they're finding me foster family. I was there for 6 months. They have classrooms there to teach us English, to teach us things, but like everything else, if you don't practice it, you will not get it. You go to school during the day, you go back to the place at night, there's other Vietnamese there, so I speak Vietnamese, and the next day I forgot everything. That's how it works. 6 months later, September of 1988, or so there, I found myself in Havana, Illinois. Raise your hand if you know what Havana is. Wow, not very many of you. Yeah. Let me give you some information about Havana. Havana is a small town right on the Illinois River. It is an hour south of Peoria, an hour north of Springfield, an hour and 15 minutes west of Bloomington. Havana Ducks. 3,200 people and shrinking. That's Havana. No other ethnic groups but me. That's Havana. I found myself there. Started out in 7th grade. So remember, first day of class, I sat in front of the class, and all these kids are looking at me, asking questions I couldn't answer. Came home that night, had dinner with the foster family. Mom gave me the phone, and I said hello, and somebody say something. I have no idea what it was, so I handed it back to Mom. That was the lowest point in my life. Now, when I was in Singapore, next Vietnamese there, I could speak to. Missing my last day, speak to them, missing my biological mother, but not that much. Havana, sink or die, swim or die. This is it. This is the most difficult part of my life. I knew that this family brought me in. It's the most loving, generous family. They treat me like one of their own. Food on the table, clothes in my bag, got a house. And actually, it's a house that the country would insure. Got a room for myself, a TV to watch, everything that I dream about. But I can't communicate to anybody. I can't even tell them that I was hungry. I just know that there's a refrigerator there, that there's food in it, and just go get it myself. It was tough. So I'm missing my mom, my real mother. Started to blame her. Why she let me go? Started to blame myself. Maybe I didn't do chores. Maybe she hated me. What's going on here? I finally realized that this is a one-way ticket. I'm not going back. As I reflect this with our business, we have a lot of obstacles. Sometimes we don't know when we're going to get the next client. Sometimes clients call, you got the clients, they called up and start kicking and screaming about things. They want to cancel the policy that you just wrote yesterday. Your manager may be looking at you, some of you guys, you're going to miss the benchmark. Maybe they're going to take money away from your paycheck. And it's so tough that maybe, you know what? Maybe this is not my career. So many different obstacles that we have to go through. But I decided that, you know what? The toughest part was getting to America. I was right here. I'm going to learn how to speak English. I'm going to learn your culture. I'm not going to fail without trying. This is it. And guys, your mind is the most magnificent thing you have. If you choose to do it, it will make it happen. If you choose to do it, it will happen. I decided I want to do this. For the next 2 years, 7th and 8th grade, I stayed back after school every day. From after school to 5 o'clock. Got help from a tutor, a retired teacher. She was willing to stay back and help me, and I was willing to stay. She break out the alphabet, A, apple, to W, Williams, put words together, teach me everything. And I was willing to do it. It was tough, but I was willing to do it. A few months later, I was able to speak the language, enough to be dangerous. And was able to tell my American family and my sisters, American sisters, they're my family, that please help me. If I mispronounce a word, forget to put a period at the end of the sentence, correct me, because I want to be like you. I'm going to live the dream, that I'm going to do this. They would. They helped me through the whole process. Funny thing is, when I graduated 8th grade, I got selected as an All-American boy. I did. Graduate top class, believe it or not. But now, here's another obstacle. I have to give a speech at the graduation. So you guys here, this is actually my second time that I'm doing public speaking. It was tough. Now what am I going to do? At that point, I could speak a little bit, write a little bit, but nothing to brag about. So I asked for help. My English teacher. Here's the thing, guys. If you're willing to do it, and you're struggling, I know that you guys look here, people sit next to you, front and back, and I know that if you ask one another for help, I know that you will help each other. Because at some point, you get help. So pay it forward. I got help. Stay back and put the speech together. The title of the speech was American Education. Everyone has an opportunity. I did a little speech and continue on to high school. High school was easy. I'm living the dream. I am living the dream. Didn't have to do much homework. It just come natural. And I just pick up things quickly, play all the sports. I was decent at it. Having fun. Living the dream. So I graduated high school, and let me tell you a little bit about my father, American father. He worked at ADM for 30-something years. He worked at the grain elevator. So during the summertime, during harvest season, he works like 2 months straight. Grumpy as heck. You know, good guy. Grumpy. Taught me a lot. So I graduated. He said, son, you have 2 options. You are going to go get a job or go on to college, but you're not going to sit around here doing anything. I say, okay. He said, why don't you go to Bloomington or Peoria to apply for a job? So I did. I went to Bloomington. It's my first encounter of the country. I applied for a job, State Farm, and all those companies that's around there. I went to the IAA building, got an application, filled it out right there, put it in. For what? I'm not sure. Fill it out. Maybe get lucky or something, right? But here's the funny thing. A couple weeks later, I didn't hear anything from anybody except the country. In short, the letter said, I wish I would have kept it. Hindsight. It says, son, you need more education. So, more education I did. I went on to college. I went over to Monmouth College. It's a Division III school, private school, just north of Macomb. Played football there. Played 1 year, and realizing that there's other people out there that's bigger and stronger. And that they might go somewhere, and after the games and practice, I was hurt for days. So I decided that, you know what, that's done. But also my first year of college, I went and got my U.S. citizenship. It was easy. For me it was, at least. There was supposed to be written tests, verbal tests, all kinds of tests. But I went in for an interview, was able to tell them what I was doing and where I was at, and I didn't do any other tests. They just approved me. There it goes. So, sophomore year, there's one afternoon that I will never forget. I was downstairs playing video games like the rest of college students do. A few other things that they do, but that's one of them. My roommate knew my story, and he ran downstairs, and he said, Hugh, you got a phone call from your mom. And I told him that, hey, yeah, just tell her I'll call back. And he's like, Hugh, no, you got a phone call from your mom. I was like, yeah, let me finish the game now, and I'll get out of the car. He's like, no, from your mother from Vietnam. It's like somebody just punched me in the gut. I haven't talked to her, written, write, or anything since Peoria, 2 years of junior high, 4 years of high school, and at this time, 2 years of college. There was so much that I wanted to tell her. So much happened in my life that I wanted to tell her. But the most important thing is, I want to tell her that I was okay. That I'm in America. I'm in college, which is unheard of, especially for my family. So much. I was sweating so bad for the next half an hour that I didn't know what to do. Answer the phone and listen to her voice. And it was just like she's sitting right next to me. I can understand a few things that she said, but I couldn't communicate with her. Because your mind, when you're in a survival mode, or you decided that this is what you're going to do, it will happen. It will shut down everything else that is around you. Shut down the negativity, put you in a mode of survival. It will. I want to talk to my mom. All the memories came back. I want to tell her all the times of how much I miss her. I want her to be here and see me, but I couldn't. all I could do was making noises to make sure that she knew that I'm still on this end of the conversation. Now I have another problem. What am I supposed to do? So I started to go to the library, pick up a dictionary with translation in it. So I'm reading it. That's probably the only time I go to the library, but I did. I went. And I started to look up the college directory for other Vietnamese people there. And I asked for help and told my story a little bit. And said, hey, can I talk to you? Can I communicate with you? And just like riding a bike, the language started to come back. Keep doing it. Mother continued to call me. I was able to continue to talk to her. And starting to tell her a little bit what I do, where I'm at in life. And I started getting good at it. Junior, Christmas of junior and senior year, my American family knows my story. See, they know that. They know that I can communicate with my biological mom. They encouraged me to go back to see her, to see my biological family. They gave me the money to go back. I was able to go back for 30 days to visit my mom. It was huge. It was different. It's a lot different than what I remember. I was there for 30 days, and I had to leave. For me, it was tough. But I'm so used to it at this time. Independent, making decisions on my own, basically watch out for myself. But for my mother, it was just devastating. She looked at me as a 12 years old boy still. No, she thinks that I don't know what to do, how to take care of myself. It was tearing her apart. But I knew that it's not my life there anymore. I have to come back. I came back and continued on with my education and graduated May of 1998. It's my second encounter with country. So graduated, went for the job fair at the Drury Lane here in Oak Brook. Just walking through and talking to employers. And trying to get a job. And somebody came up behind me and just shook my shoulder. And introduced himself to me. Comes to find out it was my high school friend, who's a year ahead of me. His parents got divorced, and so he moved away, and he's an agency manager in Carroll Street. His name's Jim Turner, if you guys, if I can remember him or know him. He said, Hugh, this is what I'm doing. If you want to do this, I'll give you a shot. And at the time, I was like, Jim, I appreciate it, but selling, that's not for me. You know that. Thank you. So I went on and come to realize that here's what is happening here with the other employer. They want you to work a lot, which I don't mind. They want you to dress nice clothes, which I don't mind. But they don't pay you anything. Me? You know, for me that's a problem. I want to pay. You know? So I was like, maybe Jim knows something here, and it's not that bad. So I started looking at the country again, and around Havana, because I didn't want to move away. You know, that's where I grew up. You know, all my friends are there, all my national markets are there. So I look it up, and there's an agency open pretty close to Havana. So I went for an interview. Yeah, went through a few interviews and so forth. But I remember the last interview. There was 3 powerful men that was in the room. It was the agency manager, the DDA, and it was the RSVP was there in the same room, dressed in nice clothes, and was grilling me with questions and so forth. And I remember that all I could tell them was, listen, I don't know anything about insurance. I don't want to pay for it. But I can guarantee you that if you teach me how to do this, teach me the product, teach me how, I will go out and do it. And after a little while, they told me no. You know, maybe they knew something that I don't. So I called Jim back up. I took it as a challenge. I called Jim back up. I said, Jim, is the offer still on the table? He said, yep. So I was so excited. So I got the job. But I have another problem. It's up in Carroll Spring. I have no place to live. And my family, my American family, is not in a position where they could help me with the money. I just graduated in May. Where am I getting the money? So I asked for help again. Luckily, my college roommate living in St. Charles. His name is Brandon. I call him up and say, hey, Brandon, I got good news and bad news. Good news is I got a job. And he's like, congratulations, awesome. But the bad news is I have no place to live. Can I live with you? I asked. And he's like, yeah. I don't see it as a problem. I don't have a job yet. Come on up. But the thing is, he's still living at home with his parents. So he's like, okay, let me ask my parents. And I'll call you back. You know, hours turn into days. Seems like it anyway. So a few hours later, he called me back and said, you know what, come on up. We'd love to have you. So I came up in July of 1998. Now, a little bit back then, things are a little bit different than you guys have here now. From the first month, you don't get paid for it. The second month, you will. So really, the first paycheck is not until the end of August. That's 2 months later. I stay with them. I feel terrible, for the burden. So as soon as I get paid, I moved out and offered to pay them the rent, whatever it is they want, which I don't have much. But thanks God, they didn't take anything. What a wonderful family. Let me live, feed me, and didn't take any money. What a great start. Let me tell you a little bit more about my starting here with country. I didn't have any natural market. I'm sure all of you guys have a natural market. Brothers and sisters, whatever it is that you hear, church association. I started out with nobody. I have Brandon. who have gave me so much that I'm so afraid of asking them to do business with me. They didn't do business with me until about 6 years ago. So I looked at the AOA in Carroll Spring at the time, like, what am I supposed to do? So I told her to order me all the phone books around Carroll Spring. I started in the cubicle. All the phone books, I swear God, was taller than me. That's what I did. I called the phone book. A. Adams to W. Williams. Any names I can pronounce, I just call. Every night. I get so many no's that when I get a yes, I just hang up anyway. I was like, and I'll call right back and say, oops, something wrong with the phone. But that's how I got started. I was determined that, I'm going to do this. I would be lying to you guys that for the first year in this business, that every time I get the paycheck, I would want to quit. Every time I get a paycheck, I want to quit. I haven't a college education. I'm taking home $500 a month. How am I going to live? But I was assured by my manager and my peer that if you stick this out and you do the right thing, you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. I also gauge myself with the guys ahead of me. If they can do this, so can I. They might be smarter than me, but I have the work ethic. I'm willing to work as hard or harder than they are to be successful. So continue to work. Got paid, contracted with Country in August of 1998. A year later, got married, June of '99, to my high school sweetheart. And we have kids right away. But then, in the back of my mind, I still wanted to take my family here back to Vietnam, to introduce them. Because it's a huge burden on me. Because if something happened to me, they would never know. As much as I tell them about me, it is not the same. I want to teach my kids how lucky we are, that we have. Things that we have here that we take it for granted. Very fortunate enough, with the hard work that I did with the country products. 4 years ago, I was able to take my 3 sons, my wife, back to Vietnam, to introduce them to my family, to show them where I came from, to meet my mother for the first time. That was huge. That was a big burden off of me. When I brought them back there, it's a big memories, things that come back that I didn't remember as a child. I knew exactly what I did, where things was at. Show my kids where things come from. We stayed with my mom for 15 days. Whatever she ate, we ate. If she can go through without electricity, so can we. We did that for 15 days. It was an amazing trip. It's an amazing reunion that I was able to do that. 15 days up, I have to go. And my mother told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Son, I'm proud of you. You're able to live the dream through your hard work and have a family of your own. But if I have to do it all over again, I would never let you go." Now, I'm an adult with a father of 3. My oldest is 12, 8, 10, and 8. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I can let my son go for a better life. What an unselfish of her to do this. When I went through my struggles, I blamed her for everything. I blame myself for everything. But now looking back, what an unselfish thing to do. And I know you guys all have sons, daughter, or know somebody. Ask yourself that question. Could you let him go? I know I probably could. But she did. She let me go for a better life. You know, I'm now 14 years in the country and hope for many more years. As I look back here, life is full of ups and downs. Decisions that we all have to make. Some are tough, some are easy. But when life knocks you down, get some help from your manager, whoever that may be. And pick yourself back up, put yourself on the path. But remember, just because you put yourself on the path, that you can stop. If you don't keep it moving forward, you will get run over. I appreciate your time. Thank you for inviting me. And I wish you guys the best and a successful 2013.